Good afternoon, good evening, hello to all the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls that may or may not find this video in their YouTube recommended, God knows how. Well, my name's Owen. This is probably the first time you're ever seeing or hearing of me. I don't really do YouTube very often, but I did go to Silverstone on the 9th of April, and I was like, do you know what? I want a camera, I want to, post a perspective from a much heavier driver's perspective instead of all the lightweight POVs that you probably are seeing. So we are doing a Silverstone 30. It's one of their Grand Prix offerings at Silverstone on their karting circuit. So it's structured as a 10-minute qualifying. Then there's a little grid up procedure after that, and then you are just flat racing for 30 minutes. 21 people making up the grid. I was out with another driver, Luke. We both decided, you know what, we're going to go out to Silverstone. And yeah, basically straight to it. We are out onto the track. Now, obviously, brand new karts, brand new track. First time driving it for everybody on the grid except for, I think, one driver in the briefing. So yeah, we're all very, very new to this. In addition, Mother Nature decided to play a very evil trick to, well, all of us. Just before we went out, there was a very short, sharp shower, so the track was greasy, and throughout the course of the entire event, very strong winds. You'll hear the wind noise in the background throughout the vast majority of this. Obviously, already somebody's gone off on the first of the double hairpin section leading into the final corner. They will not be the first, well, sorry, not the first, sorry, they'll not be the last person to find themselves out in the weeds, God knows where. Yeah, trying to set up for the start of my first lap, and I, well, immediately scupper it. Goodbye to Kart 39 as they try around the outside of turn 1. I go a little bit deep defensively. They just say, no, that position's mine. I want to be there. And they, well, they go and sort off in the distance. Now, obviously, 21 drivers. I think it was about a 50-50 split of people that turned up with their kit and people that turned up and used the rental kit. So it was obviously quite a decent mix of people that obviously knew what they were doing, people that, maybe knew what they're doing but they don't have their own kit, and people that obviously are potentially doing it for the very first time. So a big mix of abilities and age ranges and weight categories. Obviously some lightweights, some middleweights. Myself, I'm about 17 stone with kit on, or 110 kilograms if you want proper weights. Yeah, so somebody off on the outside of the final corner. That's Luke in front of me, Kart 35. He is going to shoot off into the distance like a startled cat. Somebody again, turn 1 has gone wide. Yeah, this was a solid experience, just kind of learning everything as you go. Obviously, driven outdoor karts before, driven petrol, driven similar style tracks before, but not all kind of put together. And also having not driven a Silverstone, so I was kind of geeking out the entire kind of day. Now, obviously, being that I'm heavyweights, there are obviously going to be some disadvantages to some of the lighter drivers among us. Namely, straight line speed. Even if I get a good run out of a corner, I'm normally going to be left in the dust unless I'm on the throttle 2 to 3 business days earlier than they are. Obviously, following in a bit of a kind of conga line, but it's gone local yellow, because there is a driver, just you'll see coming up here, at turn 3, you'll see them holding the little yellow flag. Yeah, that's somebody in the barrier there. Now, wonder what's going to happen. Oh no, could that possibly happen again? Never, we'll never mind that. Goes back green, trying to just, at this point in qualifying, even though everyone's aware that it's qualifying, we're all just, scrapping as though it's a little mini race. I was just trying to kind of find my comfort zone. I was just trying to find where I could be strong, where I was lacking. Here's where I'm very, very weak. It's these double hairpins here. The right one is the main one. Going through the second of those two, I'm not all that bad. But then we get to the final corner, and for the life of me, I cannot hit that apex to save my life. Now, up ahead, Luke's the one directly ahead of me. There's a bunch of karts here. Luke sees into the future, apparently, nabs 3 people, like, you know, he does it on the regular, and whoopsie doodle, I appeared to have sent Kart 21 on a milk run into the depths of Oxfordshire. Yeah, that was not one of my finer moments. I was a little bit kind of caught in no man's land. I had 2 faster drivers on my left, I had 21 in front of me. I didn't think they'd slam on the anchors as hard as they did, but regardless, they went round off the nose. My apologies. Anyway, we continue with qualifying. Like I said, I've got some weight advantage in some of the corners, but apparently my talent I must have left in my other suit, because I didn't bring it with me. I wasn't driving in the smartest ways for the vast majority of this session. Kart 36 up ahead of me is someone that isn't gapping me by as much as I was expecting a lot of the lighter drivers to do. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just hang on to the coattails here, try and figure out what they're doing and see how I can incorporate that into my own driving and into my own line. Now, it's not great so far. I'm making little mistakes. I'm too aggressive with some of the turn-ins. But notice how wide they go on the approach to this long right sweeper. They're very, very out there. And all of a sudden, that gap, I'm almost going to be pushing them around this corner here. That's something I noticed very, very early on, is that depending on the weight class that you find yourself in, there are going to be parts of the track where you're going to have a different line. Obviously, somebody has gone well out into the weeds on the final corner and got it facing the wrong way, which is quite impressive, to be completely honest, unless they've just been absolutely smacked off. But yes, notice how there's differences in how I'm taking some parts of the track and how the driver in front is taking certain parts of the track. Big part of that being this next section here. You'll see the difference quite openly. They go a little wider through the corner, and then we both kind of pull to the left, but they go really far left. They stay out almost to the grass on the left-hand side through the corner, and all of a sudden, coming into the double hairpins, I'm right back on them. They go quite deep on that first one. I'm thinking, ooh, round the outside maybe? No, not a snowball's chance in hell. I did actually get a bit of a run, but it's because it's gone yellow and I didn't see it. We ease up. Marshall is, out there fishing, driving, pushing a driver out. We go back green. Much of the same. I do feel like 10 minutes was probably about right. Obviously, like I said, the track was greasy when we went out, so every lap that we were able to get was just new information constantly. We go into this hairpin here. That downhill hairpin off that long straight is probably my favourite corner. You can go so deep on the brakes, and you can just lean on the front tyres so well. It's beautiful, and you do get a really good feel through the pedals for what the car is doing, and you get very, very quick feedback. So you go around the outside of, I think that was Kart 17 there, around the penultimate corner, still sticking to the driver in front of me as best as I can, but not doing a brilliant job when I run out onto the rumble curbs. Speaking of those rumble curbs, they are not where you want to be. I'll go on to that a little bit a little bit later. Obviously, get a little bit hung up behind our new friend 21, and I try to avoid a repeat of, well, felony murder. It's at this point I'm thinking, okay, cool, I know I'm making stupid mistakes. I'm obviously not doing things the right way. Let's just ease up, take a second, just breathe. Let's just try and just put in a solid lap that just we can be happy with. We can just kind of feel some sense of pride in. Slight downside with that is we still have to navigate past 21, and I want to try and get that done before starting the lap. So we come around the penultimate hairpin. 21's got it all out of shape on the inside. Thankfully, I was able to hang around the outside and just get set up for a proper lap, which I believe will be this one that we're about to do now, which I think was my fastest. It was a good bit of fun. just trying to have a bit of clear air now. Having a bit of clear air, knowing what I know about the track after being sat behind some faster drivers, gave me a better sense of what I should and shouldn't be doing. So going into this hairpin here, trying to kind of pick your apex, and I try and just go for where the curb ends, so that I can be on the power and hammer it out of the corner. So you just miss those tyre barriers there. That's probably that's a really fun section as well, to be fair. Again, just entry into that right-hand hairpin. I just can't get that right at the moment. And it, you know, maybe it's a case of too much entry speed. I'm just a little too quick in, and it's scuppering me on the way out. But yeah, keep it pinned, gun it to the line, and hope to God that that's the that's good enough for a respectable starting position. And you can see on the little driver display just down in the bottom of the screen that was at the time my personal fastest lap, and I was okay with that. I was like, okay, cool, I'd seen it. I will say they're not the most useful things in the world, being that they're obviously quite way out of your eye line and you're dipping your head down to see, but still useful. Again, just trying to figure out that right-hand hairpin. I just, for the life of me, can't get that one the way I want it. Obviously, seeing yellows here now, I'm not sure if it's for someone stuck on the outside of the last corner. No, it doesn't appear so. No, it's checkers. So qualifying's done. P10, which, considering I'm probably heaviest or maybe second heaviest driver on the grid, I'm not mad at that whatsoever. I know I'm not going to be competing right at the sharp end. However, I would have liked to have not been smack bang in the middle, you know, fighting in the mid-pack. Now, obviously, throughout the course of this, I was ranting and raving to myself. You might have heard the odd snippet here or there over me and my, you know, lovely voice dubbing over the top of this. So I will shut myself up. You'll hear me talking to myself going through the grid.
Okay, 10th after qualifying. I don't think I really got a clean enough lap, so we shall see. 30 minutes. I mean, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Am I last of the people that have their own kit? No, surely not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm 10th, potentially, of top 11, of the karting 11. Which, I think, considering I'm the only heavyweight with their own kit, I think that's not a bad ROI so far. You want to know where Luke's qualified? He put it P3! He put the son of a bitch P3! Fair play, Luke! Fucking good job. Fucking hell, Luke. First time out and he's qualified at P3. Yee, gods. I wonder where the grid is, like how the layout of the grid is. Oh, man. sorry if you were saying to go there. Never know, I might get some help. Start on the other side. Yeah, I'm on that side, okay. This is going to be interesting. Is that too far? Genuinely, I don't know if I'm too far. There she is. Hi! Hi, Nicola! Luke did P3! Luke good! Me bad. Well, me mid. Basically, my entire karting career just underwhelmingly mid. A couple of people with the road, or with the rental kit. This will be interesting. I'm surprised that there's not a set of lights for the start sequence.
Well, here we are now on the grid. Obviously, you can see I'm, sat nice and snugly on P10. Now, obviously, you've just heard all my, goofy, being sat as a driver at Silverstone, all the good stuff. Still a little bit of confusion with grid positioning, I think. Yeah, honestly, I will say just before this gets underway, big props to the marshals and the track team. They were stand-up guys, guys and girls, left and right, the entire way, and all their front desk and hospitality staff were absolutely exceptional.
He did
Yep,
good.
just me being a...
He did good! Me!
Yeah. Just me being me. So, yeah, obviously, P10. So, it's going to be interesting.
Right now. Sat at Silverstone, about to have a race. Sure, it's only a kart race. Sure, it's only on the karting track. But right now, I do not give a flying fuck. I feel like $1 million right now. And
as you can hear, I feel like...
Thing? Ooh, I like it. Ooh,
I feel like the biggest professional in the world right now, and I'm kind of okay with acting a little goofy because I've never had so much fun in my life. Now, obviously, I had my reservations about how this start sequence would go because there's not any lights. I didn't realise it would be quite this though. And that's it. We're off. Obviously, me, jumping up and down like a rabid jack in the box, trying to not get absolutely mugged off the start. Consolidating position decently enough, thankfully. And it's now just complete Armageddon. Everyone is just in a fight for themselves. Obviously, Luke starting P3, me starting P10. Now let's see if we can, if not make any forward progress, let's at least not go backwards. Obviously, I get a very nice run out of the final, out of that hairpin there, just hooking it on the inside to get car, I think that was 38, now setting off after the cars in front of me. I'm still taking the insides just a little bit cautiously, obviously ending up on the rumble curb just a touch. Kart 20 in front. Again, I just run out onto the rumble curb, but thankfully there isn't anyone directly applying pressure behind. I think there's a few people scrapping behind me that's allowed a little bit of breathing space. Hard into turn 1, little kink for turn 2, and just trying to keep pace with Kart 20, not too fussed about losing pace with the drivers right up front because they are going to absolutely waltz away with this. Diving in, trying for a move. Not quite panning out. I did commit just a little bit late, and by the time I realised that I wasn't going to get there, I just had to salvage what I could. 20 opens up a little bit of a gap. Just trying to kind of see where I'm able to maybe exploit some kind of weakness in 20's. Maybe line. Well, there's a weakness in mine. Keep running out to the damned rumble curb. Suddenly, 20 has taken the ride-on lawnmower approach through the final corner, and I'm right back on the tail. Now, unfortunately, can't capitalise because it's yellow for a brief moment, and just as I check over my shoulder, it goes back green. So lose an absolute fistful of time. 20 is now back on the leading, I guess, group of 8 drivers, and I'm trying desperately to not lose grip on the coattails, whilst also being rapidly caught with people behind me. That's me signalling to the person behind, look, work with me, we'll catch up to the people up front. Unfortunately, when I'm driving like that, I'm not going anywhere but backwards. Again, just constantly struggling with that first right-hand hairpin. I just can't get the car rotated the way I want. And then ending up on those rumble strips, you know, having been out on them a couple times in qualifying, I don't particularly want to do that if I can avoid it. Turn 1 I've pretty much figured out at this point, and I'm pretty confident going into that now. And again, just turn 3, that's about as hard as you want to hit those curbs. I mean, you flip the car up onto 2 wheels, it launches you out the seat. It's not particularly good for keeping your heart rate low, but still, we are doing alright. Now, the driver display at the moment says P9. I think at this point I am P9, however, I will say they're not the most reliable things in the world, because at one point you'll see it goes from, I think, it'll put me in P4 randomly. That's one thing that I think Silverstone were having a little bit of teething trouble with, mainly because I think the GPS just loses tracking. Obviously, the driver that I done off the first lap has gone for the move, and we are side by side going into turn 1 now. I've got the inside, thankfully. Unfortunately, whilst I had the inside, I did not have the talent to keep it. I run it in way too deep. 38 just says, thank you very much, I'll take that every day of the week, twice on Sunday. Has me up the inside of turn 1, and now proceeds to set off after the leaders. Now, this was something that I found myself struggling with, was if someone passed me, trying to adapt how I was driving to try and catch them. Now, whilst I am catching a little bit through these corners here, it's a little bit of an illusion because they just, I don't know if I'm just screwing up the exits. I'm definitely screwing up the entry of the final corner there. But it just felt like I couldn't get the power out of the corners in a lot of instances, except turn 1. Now, 38 has run really deep. I'm, at the time, calling out, hey, why is that not track limits? Not realising that literally the lap before I'd done the exact same damn thing and lost position. But, you know, we continue. Pushing as hard as I can in the places that I know I'm strong to try and keep pace. Unfortunately, it's just not happening. I mean, this track is not heavyweight friendly. Like, you could be 25, 30 kilos slower, lighter than someone, and you're going to lose a second a lap minimum around the international layout. Obviously, a couple of back markers here. Driver here has managed to get the thing at about a 45-degree angle, which is terrifying. Swing it around the outside of another back marker here before we go into turn 1. Now, that won't be the last time we see an excursion off into the back rooms off the final corner. Trying around the outside of 47. You can hear that I enjoy that. That was a nice little sling around the outside of the slalom, which I didn't have planned going into that. And once I'd started it, it was a case of, well, if we die, we die. At least it'll be fun. So, again, just trying into these hairpins here. Now, I'm thinking, because I haven't checked the driver display in a long time at this point, I'm thinking that I was actually P11. Now, that driver display actually does say, and I've just checked there, P10. I'm thinking, oh, okay, interesting. How? Not realising that they put first on the inside. So the person that I'd actually passed, who done me at turn 1, was actually 9th place, not the person in 11th. Still, we continue on. This little slalom section is fantastic. Being able to nip those curbs and just send the car straight over is great. Honestly, it's just... This track has so many fun little sections, and it just kind of coalesces into just being a brilliant bit of fun. Now, I think it's about here. I think it might actually be this lap where I probably get the best out of the lap. Turn 1, that's about as good as I hit it the entire day. Going into turn 2, flat. Turn 3, little lift, clip the curb, pinning it all the way down to turn 4, hard on the brakes. Just roll off them as you put the steering lock on. Hit that power as hard as you're able to with the rear end. And then yeah, just gentle little inputs on the steering wheel will take you a long way around. Trying to get the kart rotated. I'm slightly compromising my line, just trying to keep away from these little rumble curbs, because they are so aggressive. They are so nasty to hit, because you just lose, especially if you hit them with like both your right side tyres, for example. You just can't steer. It's gone local yellow here. I think while there was potentially just an incident up ahead. Now, this was one thing that I did struggle with, besides passing other drivers. I mean, thankfully I backed out of that one and didn't send Kart 33 into a spin. But the drivers that were ahead of me by 2.5 seconds, under the yellow, just gain a second and a half, 2 seconds, and this was a fairly recurrent theme, was especially if you're going to run a GP style race, there does need to be some firmer like adherence to yellow light procedures and speeds. It's not to say I'm perfect about it, but I mean the person behind me has gained 2.5 seconds at least. I've gained a little bit more because I'm driving like an idiot. They are right up alongside me on the outside. Now this time I learned from my prior escapade. I do get it stopped for turn 1 and block them out a little bit. They do poke the nose in for turn 3, but I'm not having any of that. I was not born yesterday. We just keep it absolutely nailed to the floor for the throttle until we get to the braking. Hit the brakes hard, try and just get the power on. Now the driver behind, unfortunately, is about 25 kilos lighter, and you see they just launch it up the inside. They get a great run. I'm hounding them through the latter half of the corner. It does go a little bit deep, which kind of suckered me in on the brakes. I would have liked to have taken a different route. Now they've got held up behind Kart 17. I'm thinking, ooh, here we go. They've got the inside covered off. Stupidly, I've got 2 wheels off the track, and basically, when I wanted to hit the brakes, I hit a massive pothole. Completely driver error. Like, no qualms about that. That was just me completely losing my mental for a moment. But yeah, that's allowed Kart 2, the driver that's passed me, to just break the toe just enough to where they don't have to worry for at least a short while. It's around about this point here where I start feeling some confidence, around the track now. Mainly because that was about the best that I'd come through that final sector. I thought, okay, I might be able to start pushing here. Turn 1, a little bit ragged, I'll grant you. Now, I actually slowed up a little bit here to kind of not gain so much of an advantage. Now, unfortunately, Kart 2 does get held up by a back marker. They do get a nice, easy move down the inside. I just follow through, thank you very much. And I'm thinking, okay, he's obviously lighter. Now look, he's just gone way out to the left-hand side. Look at that gap as we come through. It doesn't close much, but it does close a little bit. And he's hustling the kart through here. Now, again, that gap looks like it comes down, and it does, until he steps on the throttle again, and it just... He just gaps me by 2 postal codes. Now, there's a driver that's... had better days and, you know, gone miles off, but thankfully it hasn't affected us. Now that's terrifying. Thankfully you're able to see turn 1 quite early, so I'd seen them as they were, you know, back first into the barrier, which made me more conscious of where I wanted to put the kart for turn 1, so because if I'd done what I'd done the previous lap, I probably would have absolutely smashed them. Still, behind Kart 2, trying to, you know, regain modicum of honour, so that we have a top 10 finish at the very least. Now, I was just... I think because I had Kart 2 ahead, and this was a gentleman that I'd spoken to pre-race, because he was asking about the layout of the track, you know, it's the first time here. Lovely, sound guy, really nice gentleman. Now it does go yellow for a moment here, and I am wondering why. I'm thinking, okay, what's happened here? I'm obviously not trying to bunch up right behind Kart 2, because me personally, I think that's kind of unsporting, and I personally absolutely hate when that happens to me. Now, we've just passed that slalom section, and the barrier position is very different. I think, well, between myself and the other drivers, cumulatively, the little nips that you take out of that tyre barrier there, they do have an effect, because that's not the first, that's not the last time that they'll reorganise that sequence of barriers. Now we're under yellow for, I think, the best part of a full lap, if not a full lap, as they make sure that tyre barrier is reset. The reason that barrier was there in the first place is because that was one of the corners that they'd been doing some construction work on. They'd been doing some work on the second half of the slalom. They'd put some concrete down on the entry of turn 1 as well. So very fresh, new kind of materials. They wanted to obviously try and protect it. So it might be those barriers might not be there when, you know, anyone potentially watching this does go for a trip, but worth bearing in mind. And obviously I'm trying to maintain a fairly consistent gap to Kart 2. Like I said, at least for me, I don't know if anyone else feels this, but when I'm doing a GP style race and it goes yellow, and you've got a big gap to the people behind you, and then suddenly you look over your shoulder and the entire field's backed up behind you, it just doesn't feel good. Now notice on my driver display it says 21 seconds as the gap to the kart behind. That's the gap behind to 12th place. Now obviously it's just gone green now. That driver display will refresh in a few seconds when we pass another timing beam. But that won't be 21 seconds the next time by, not by a long shot. It's down to 17. And then you'll see it go down even further. It'll go down to, I think it's about 10 in another lap or two. Now nobody is 7 seconds a lap faster than anyone else, unless you're really slow. 2's obviously gone very deep, trying to avoid Kart 21. I'm very conscious of Kart 21. I'm thinking, oh god, let's not kill them. Let's let them do it themselves, as they go a little bit deep on the brakes into the final corner, sending the kart way out wide, hit the curbs, and then it just flips around, and around they go. Now again, Kart 2 right up behind me. Now I'm well aware, even at this point in the race, podium unless there's some kind of like procedure where we just get re-gridded, maybe. Yeah, so I'm basically just kind of treating this as semi-hot lap, semi-race whoever the hell I've got behind me. Now going into here, on the last lap, was good. On that lap, not so much. I'm trying to set up a wider line through that second hairpin to just try and get some kind of speed through the corner. Now, Two's got pretty decently sized cojones because we go side by side through that final corner, and even though he has a compromised line, he still has the ability to just walk away from me. Now I try and just stick with him. I'm like, okay, maybe he's going to make a mistake going into the slalom, maybe we're going to be faster than him. No, not a hope in hell. Which touched disheartening, but at the same time, fair play for him, you know, sticking it in up the final corner. And again, look at this gap. It just, you know, it trims down a little bit. Yeah, fair play to him for sticking the nose in on the final corner. Obviously, I went out way wide onto the rumble strips to, you know, not either cut across his nose and get myself spun out, or pin him into the curb and potentially cause him having an accident. But yeah, it kind of became this a lot through the majority of the session. It was a lot of kind of back and forth. There wasn't as much there wasn't as much fighting, which was, you know, nice, because I did want to have some clean laps and try and understand the track, but I would have liked just a little bit more of a scrap. I was thinking at this point, damn, I would just like a few more people to fight. Now, obviously, at this point as well, I'm getting frustrated by myself. You can see I'm shaking my head. So I'm just going, why are you doing the things that you are doing? You're better than this, apparently. Yeah, I think I know that at some point I'm going to get passed by the leaders somewhere down the line. I'm just going, okay, let's just try and just gather intel at this point. Let's see what curbs are good to hit, what curbs are not good to hit. If you listen to the marshals, no curbs. But there are a couple that, you know, you probably could get away with, you know, just kind of clipping here and there. Yeah, going through the final corner and clipping the inside curb is a real good way to get yourself speared out onto the outside curb. I just can't fathom not hitting curbs. I don't know, like, whether that's normal or not for most racers, but, you know, it's normal for me. Just anything that stops me from going out onto the rumble curbs, basically. Like, I've got more fear of the rumble curbs than I do the inside curbs, so it's like, well, better the devil you know than the devil you... Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Jesus Christ, I don't even know if that made sense. Anywho, obviously Two's scarpering off into the distance. There are a couple back markers. There's the vain hope in all of us that the back markers are going to slow Two up so much that I'm going to back right, that he's going to back right up into me. I don't somehow think so, considering Two absolutely mugs one of them going through the first section of that double right. I'm obviously up behind the back marker. I'm thinking, okay, cool, just, you know, patience, let him take the line he wants to take, and I'm thinking, okay, cool. He goes out onto the outside, I'm thinking, cool, easy enough. Driver in front just about gets the cart speared into the barrier on the inside. I'm thinking, oh god, that's terrifying. And then they're just there on the inside. I'm thinking, oh no. Anyway, let's just lay it over the front and just hope that they have the common sense to brake. That was kind of the entire thought process there. I think it was more they didn't want to spin someone out, so thank god they actually did brake. Obviously diving very, very late on the brakes. I am pretty sure that was a back marker anyway. And now, that's the leader, who's just absolutely, you know, mugged me. And then this is second place, who rather unceremoniously, I feel, runs me out onto the exit curbs. As you can see, I am remonstrating with him. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to be honest, as a faster driver, maybe you should be a little bit closer and aware, like a little bit more aware of your surroundings. Not that he really gives two rat's fannies about that at the moment, as he is fighting with the driver in first, like they are blood siblings. Yeah, didn't exactly feel great getting run out onto the curb there. Obviously, I know I'm going to get, I'm going to get lapped. Going through that slalom, that was where I definitely clipped the barrier. There were probably 1 or 2 points where I maybe just nipped it with the rear, but that one, I trust me, you feel it. That's Luke Englishby coming around to lap me. Of course, he is still in P3, and he's not far off the leaders either. At this point, this is my best chance to try and learn. I'm thinking, okay, cool. At least I know what Luke's going to drive like. Let's see how I can keep pace. And how I keep pace, that's an F. That's an F, brother. It's gone yellow, so everyone kind of slows down. I do kind of bunch up a little bit with Luke, but I mean, at this point, I'm already a lap down. At this point, I'm just kind of vibing a little bit more. Now I'm thinking again, is this like a big incident, or is this going to be like a repeat of the last full course yellow? Because I can't tell if it's a full course or if it's a local yellow. That's why I just about nearly belted Luke in the back. But no, there's a marshal stood there, because they are redoing the barriers, and it's gone green and immediately been mugged by 4th place. Apparently I just wasn't paying close enough attention. Yeah, big old gaggle of karts, everyone's all bunching up, it's all getting a little bit squirrely, a little bit dicey, and then it goes yellow again. So, yeah, I mean, if nothing else, good for training a bit of reactions, because especially when you're at the head of a big group like that, if you're the first to slow and you slow kind of at a decent rate, and then the person behind you gets maybe just a touch caught out, that ripple effect back through a group of about 5 or 6 drivers, trust me, you feel it. Especially if you're at the back end of it and you aren't, able to, maybe you misjudge the speed and the closing distance a little bit, it's a little bit nutty. Now obviously, for the most part, I'm trying to kind of keep out the way of, the drivers in front. I don't want to, bunch right up to them if I can avoid it, nor do I want people bunching right up behind me, again, if it can be avoided. It's full course, I think, again, because basically as soon as they'd reset the barrier on the slalom section, somebody absolutely drilled it, and then we are green and we have gone racing again. Luke, side by side with a back marker, just trying to, break away. P4 does actually nip the inside curve, and I think that kind of unsettled him as he tried to pass the back marker, but it doesn't really slow him down, because he just goes and launches it like that. That's 21, again, our favourite friend. Nice, fair, clean, a little bit late of a dive on the brakes, but when you have the feedback that you have in these karts, you can trust it. Now that's 3 wide into the final corner, and I'm not particularly keen on that. That's, I think, P5, who caught me completely by surprise. I didn't even feel another driver behind me, which was slightly terrifying. Going into turn 1, again, it's all getting a little bit dicey. Car 17, again, I'll just follow the drivers in front through. Again, now this is just kind of intel gathering. It's like, obviously these drivers are a lot faster, they're a lot lighter, they've obviously got probably a lot more experience, especially outdoor, than I do. So I'm thinking, okay, let's just take what we can get. Just follow, do what we can, right? They're probably going to come up on some more back markers, they might punch a bit of a hole for me, so I might not get, well, punted like that. There's ways to pass people, and that's not one of them, just drill someone. He is on the inside, I'm thinking, oh, okay, not one to fight, let's, live and fight another day. Coming around past, I think that's kart 45, is that? Now 45, unfortunately, rather scuppers me, so I lose touch with all the faster drivers in front. So I don't really want to sling one if I can avoid it, because I really don't want to be be responsible for spinning someone and getting black flagged, God forbid. Still, we continue, down hard, hit the brakes. I did find myself going out onto that exit curb coming out of that hairpin. Now obviously that's another driver past me. Now this, I don't know if that's for position or if that's for being lapped. So we're, fighting a little bit, because, again, I haven't checked the driver display in probably 15 laps at this point. I mean, what, 15 laps, probably closer to 10. 38 does get me on the second hairpin. I mean, there was nothing I could do about it. He does get a bit of a poor run coming through the final corner, though, so I do get a really nice launch back past him. He's right up behind me. He's almost pushing me through turn 1. Kart 45, I'm just like, right, I'm not waiting behind any longer. I'm not doing it, because I'm thinking now I've got people for position behind me. Obviously, past the driver on the inside, going into the hairpin at the bottom of the hill as cleanly as I'm able. Had to check up a little bit just through the slalom section, just so I had a little bit of a buffer, because I didn't really want to, belt the guy. I did enough of that in qualifying. So yeah, again, like I said, I at this point I'm just fighting whoever I've got behind, thinking that it's for position. I did get a little bit of a tap, and I'm thinking, okay, yes, let's keep this clean, let's keep this civil. I need to stop hitting that curb on the inside of the final corner, because every time I did, I felt like it was better, but looking back at it, it was obviously slowing me down. But at the same time, it feels like you have to either choose run the car out onto the exit curb or try and kind of just nip the inside curb. It's a weird little corner, that last one. That curb on the inside of the long left hairpin is also not one that I'd recommend hitting very often. Now I'm getting a little bit of argy-bargy from 34 as he kind of pushes his way through me more than past me, but still, hey, it's more than likely that he's coming around to lap me. And then, yeah, that was uncalled for. 38 obviously dives it down the inside of the second to last corner, and I mean, it was, I had the thing on the lock stop. I was just trying not to get spun. Then he passes 4. We were told that you can't go onto that little bit of track, kind of, because that's seen as out of bounds. It's basically track limits. I'm thinking, okay, that's a bit odd. So you pass the driver. I think that might have been Kart 4. My apologies, I missed the number in my racing fueled rant. Yeah, we get a nice clean move done. At this point, not a clue where I am. I'm aware I'm still like somewhere in the mid pack. I'm not obviously the slowest driver out, but I'm by no means the fastest. And now my target was just, okay, let's get back up to the guy who felt that it was so it was so important that he passed me for position that he would just belt me. So yeah, we were told that where we came out for the pit exit was basically track limits. It was, if you were all 4 wheels off, track limits. And if you're passing people whilst you're out there, feels like that's probably a slam dunk for a penalty, but hey, it's new, people learn, people adapt. Yeah, now, this might have been the worst time. Yeah, hit the inside curb, then get hung out on the rumble curb. I was just, it was, there was a modicum of experimentation. Now, obviously, 38 has gone way out on the rumbles on that last one. Still hasn't saved any kind of time, and that is the end of the race. Yeah, closing thoughts. It was certainly not without action. I just found myself obviously lacking a little bit of confidence. I think if it hadn't rained beforehand, I think we all would have gone in maybe a little bit better prepared. However, a new track and some moisture on it, and also obviously cold tyres and karts, meant that it was certainly an interesting experience. Now I don't know why we are stopped here, because I'm genuinely confused, because I'm like, do I stop? Do I keep going? Apparently somebody managed to crash at turn 3. People were racing into turn 3, and somebody got spun in the exact same spot where I inadvertently hit 21. As you can hear me narrating. Yeah, found out that somebody basically got spun out going into turn 3 for some bizarre reason. It is quite funny. I do still find that funny in retrospect. But yeah, tracks, really good fun. The karts are about as even as they are, so if you do see this, go down as soon as you are physically able. The karts won't have even had a service yet, I would reckon. The international layout is a good bit of fun. I can't wait for some of these tyre barriers, like the one we're just passing, to be removed or maybe better positioned, so that we have maybe some slightly better ability to take the lines that we probably could. Yeah, it's a good bit of fun. I'm definitely going back. There's no question about it. I'm absolutely going back. That's not even up for discussion. Yeah, for those that have sat through this entire ranting and raving and all the ramblings that I go on and all the tangents, thank you very much for watching. I would love to say that there's another video coming, but I don't even know if I'm going to make another video this year. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for taking the time to sit, view, and listen. And yeah, catch you around.